Special Counsel Mueller, also of impeccable integrity, concluded that the 2016 Trump campaign welcomed foreign interference from Russia and used it to help them.
Did Donald Trump know he was lying? And did anyone in the White House direct the investigation? In this intense exchange, Congressman Dan Goldman forces Special Counsel Jack Smith to walk through the evidence step by step, naming insiders, campaign officials, state authorities, and even the former Attorney General who all told Trump the election was not stolen. As accusations of political bias swirl, Goldman shifts the spotlight to a far more dangerous question. If prosecutors are ignored, officials are pressured, and facts are rejected, what does that mean for the rule of law itself? This isn't just about one case. It's about whether truth still has authority in American democracy.
I would caution my friend from South Carolina and others against jumping into bed with Judge Cannon, who's been rebuked repeatedly by the 11th Circuit because she is completely lawless. But let's go back to the actual evidence rather than all the procedural stuff about when you were sworn in or not. I don't blame you for not remembering that. You've been probably sworn in a dozen times. It doesn't jump out at you. I want to go back to the evidence, though, that Donald Trump knew that he was lying about the election. And I'd ask you to say, if you could, specifically, who gave evidence to you that supported your conclusion that he knew that he was lying?
That came from a number of sources. It came from staff in the White House who talked to him and told him that his fraud claims were not true. It came from staff on his campaign who told him that. It came from members of the Department of Justice. It came from state officials who, when he tried to press them to do things in contravention of their oath, they refused to. They asked him for evidence and his co-conspirators, and they never provided it. Over and over again, the people who had who were best situated to know how the elections were conducted in these states, he either avoided contacting them or disregarded the clear debunkings that were provided to him, such as by the Georgia Secretary of State.
Right, and I mean, that's a lot of evidence, but we know that his Attorney General at the time also concluded, quote, he knew well that he lost the election, Bill Barr, and yet he incited a riot on January 6th, and 4 of the brave officers who defended the Capitol and defended my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are here today. Not a single Republican member of this committee has recognized them or thanked them for their service, and I would like to do so today. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, my colleague from California referred to a couple statements from your former colleagues in Penn and the Eastern District about your impeccable reputation as an apolitical career politician. As an alum of the Southern District of New York myself, I can tell you that many of my former colleagues also feel the same, and that's saying something coming from the SDNY to the EDNY, as you know. Mr. Smith, did you ever speak to President Biden about this case?
Never.
Did you ever receive orders or direction from President Biden or anyone else in the White House about this case?
No.
Did you ever receive any direction from the Attorney General Merrick Garland regarding how you should, whether or not you should charge this case?
No, I was given the independence to make that decision on my own.
An independent special counsel, exactly. I just want to point out to my colleagues who seem to think this is a politicized investigation that on February 10th, over a month, 2021, over a month after January 6th, Marco Rubio said the January 6th attack on the Capitol was far more dangerous than most realize, and we have a criminal justice system in place to address it. Who oversaw the Department of Justice on February 10th, 2021? Who was president?
February 10th, 2021. That would be Joe Biden.
So Marco Rubio wanted Joe Biden's Department of Justice to investigate Donald Trump and his January 6th insurrectionist. I want to ask you in my last few seconds, Mr. Smith, you're not the first special counsel to investigate Donald Trump. Special Counsel Mueller, also of impeccable integrity, concluded that the 2016 Trump campaign welcomed foreign interference from Russia and used it to help them. Donald Trump has made it a litmus test to be hired in this administration to say that the 2020 election was fraudulent, even though, as you have established, it was not. And now there are senior officials in this government who are responsible for protecting our elections, who are election deniers. Can you describe in a few seconds what your concerns are about the upcoming election based on your investigation and what we know today?
I believe political litmus tests are not proper for career prosecutors. I think my experience over 30 years as a prosecutor in the Department of Justice is having people who are not guided by party allegiance, but guided by experience. That's how you can trust the criminal justice system. It's the same way with our election system.
This exchange stands out not because of theatrics, but because of the methodical way evidence, credibility, and institutional integrity are placed at the center of the discussion. Rather than focusing on procedural technicalities, Congressman Goldman repeatedly pulls the conversation back to a core issue. What did Donald Trump know, and when did he know it? The testimony makes clear that Trump was informed by multiple independent sources that his claims of widespread election fraud were not supported by facts. White House staff, campaign advisors, Justice Department officials, and state election authorities all conveyed the same conclusion, that the allegations were false and unsupported. What makes this especially significant is not simply the volume of voices, but their positions. These were not political opponents or outside critics. They were individuals inside Trump's own administration, his own campaign, and his own government. People with direct access to election data and legal authority. The testimony paints a picture of repeated warnings, consistent debunking, and a pattern of disregarding facts when they conflicted with a preferred narrative. The exchange also addresses one of the most persistent claims surrounding the investigation, that it is politically directed. Goldman directly asks whether President Biden, the White House, or Attorney General Merrick Garland provided any instruction or pressure regarding charging decisions. Jack Smith's responses are unequivocal. He states that he never spoke with President Biden about the case, never received direction from the White House, and was given independence to make charging decisions based on evidence and law. This directly challenges claims that the investigation is controlled or manipulated for political purposes. By bringing in statements from Republican leaders who, at the time, acknowledged the seriousness of January 6th and supported accountability, Goldman exposes a shift in political positioning. The contrast between past statements and current rhetoric highlights how political incentives can reshape narratives over time. What was once broadly recognized as a dangerous attack on democratic institutions is now, in some corners, minimized, reframed, or redirected. The exchange also raises deeper concerns about the future. Goldman connects the findings of this investigation to broader issues surrounding election integrity, political loyalty tests, and the role of career professionals in protecting democratic systems. The warning is subtle but clear. When factual conclusions are replaced by loyalty-based narratives, and when experienced professionals are sidelined for political reasons, the systems designed to protect elections and enforce the law become vulnerable. At its core, this moment is about more than one defendant or one investigation. It is about whether truth, evidence, and professional standards still guide the most powerful institutions in the country. The testimony suggests that facts were repeatedly presented and repeatedly rejected, not because they were wrong, but because they conflicted with a political objective. This exchange forces viewers to confront a difficult reality. Democracy does not collapse in a single dramatic moment. It erodes when evidence is ignored, when institutions are accused without proof, and when loyalty is valued over law. The significance of this testimony lies in its reminder that the rule of law depends not only on written statutes, but on the willingness of leaders to accept uncomfortable truths. By grounding the discussion in documented evidence, direct testimony, and clear denials of political interference, this exchange reinforces a central principle. Accountability is not political retaliation when it is driven by facts. It becomes a safeguard for democracy when it is applied consistently, transparently, and independently, even when the conclusions are politically inconvenient.